Welcome, everybody, to the Three Doves podcast. I'm your host, Jason Pulowski. Today's podcast, we're sitting down with Lexi and Ian Loofboro, and they have hiked into our studio to talk about God's power over addiction and God's presence in their adventure. I'm sitting with Lexi Loofboro, and she is the director of Ends of Earth Hiking. Mm-hmm. And that's a big position. That's a big name there, Ends of Earth. It's a big mission in front of you. Yep. Welcome to the Three Doves podcast.
Thank you.
Lexi, let's start at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right outside in a suburb called Mount Lebanon. And I grew up there for most of my life and moved down to Florida about 8 years ago.
Tell me a little bit about moving down here in this area. Mm-hmm. A little bit more about that. About
like why this area?
Yeah, why this area?
Yeah, so I moved down 8 years ago. And honestly, I moved down because I just needed a new start in life. Before moving, I wasn't a believer and had gotten involved with things that weren't helpful in my life. And I needed a new start. And so I flew down within 24 hours and was in Florida. And
you talked about a new start.
Yes.
You weren't a believer.
Yeah.
Were you running from anything?
No, I wasn't running from anything necessarily. I was honestly running towards something, if anything. So when I moved down, when I made the decision, I had chosen to go to rehab for alcohol.
Okay.
I, at the time, was just realizing, okay, this is the one thing that keeps getting in my way. And it doesn't lead me to anything that is good long term. And honestly, I was sitting in the parking lot of a gas station, and I had this revelation vision of like, okay, if I were to keep doing what I've been doing, I was 21, 22 at the time. I like had an idea of like what I would become, like the best I could be living and doing with what I was doing. And I was like, I don't want that. That's not it, you know? And, then I remember leaving the gas station and calling my friend at the time and just telling her, I need to go get help. Like, I think I need to go to rehab. She's like, totally do it. Like, super, very supportive. Went home, told my mom the same thing, and then called a hotline. And I was flying down to Florida within 24 hours. And luckily, they had a spot for me, and that's what brought me down here, is truly just the depths of the sin that I was in and how it was impacting me.
Let me back you up there, because there's a story even before that. Mm-hmm. And I know you just kind of jumped around a little bit over top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you even know you had an issue with drinking?
I guess... Yeah, I knew I had an issue because it was just like repetitive, and there was a lot of hurt and pain that was coming from it. I had lost 2 jobs because of drinking, and I was making poor decisions, like relationally. And ultimately, it was right after I lost my second job because I was drinking that I was like, okay, this is...
So it went beyond just like the social partying. It was beyond that for you in your life? Was it a constant you had to have a drink, or
no,
what? Okay.
It was more of a social thing, but it was turning into something more. It wasn't like I woke up and I needed a drink in the morning. It wasn't like I didn't drink every day even, but I drank more days of the week than not. So that's sort of what it was, where it was going. It was more social than like waking up and I am detoxing necessarily. Like I physically feel like I need it. If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was what do you think, looking back at that time? God was orchestrating something through all that, right? Because you had shared with me before, God was orchestrating this whole thing. It wasn't, there's a lot behind that forced you into a place, you were telling me.
Yeah. So it was interesting because so there's a few things. I can start with the dream that I had. It was before I lost my job. I found myself in the gas station. It was before this. It was, I don't know, maybe a year or two prior. But I had a dream that I was in my grandparents' house and I was sneaking alcohol, like a beer, and I was going up the stairs of my grandparents. And as I was turning, at the time my grandfather passed, as I was turning and going up the stairs, the door opened and this big white light, it was like super bright, like was just there, and it opened, and I thought it was my grandfather because I thought he was coming to meet me, but now I know it was the Lord. And I just ran up to him and I gave him a big hug and I just started crying. And I remember the voice saying, I thought it was my grandfather saying, I've seen what you've been doing. And that's all I remember from then, from that part. And so I didn't connect the dots though at the time. I didn't connect the dots. So that was one time where God intervened in my story. He was giving me a warning then, and I just didn't see it as such. But now looking back on it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a clear warning. Like God was telling me to not go down that route and that direction. So, and that was before I would say I was like saved and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then, so.
Sounds like it was a very painful place you came through, back in that spot, in the partying. Can you expound a little bit more on that for maybe somebody who is going through, look, I'm not drinking every day. I'm having a sip maybe during the week or so, but they're having a little bit more. And maybe it's just every weekend. I got to party every weekend.
Yeah.
What were you using that for in your life at that time? What was it substituting? Because we had spoken about that. What was it substituting in your life? Yeah.
So it really started off as what I thought was something just fun and innocent. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. I felt like it just was fun. That's why I was doing it initially. And then eventually just became habit. And there's definitely, I would say, parts where it did help me cope with how bad I felt about what I was doing or what I've done. And
did you grow up in a Christian home? Did you grow up?
I did not.
You did not.
Well, I didn't grow. I would not. No, I did not. I went to church with my grandparents.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What was the home life like for you?
My mom. I grew up mostly with a single mom, and until I was in about middle school, and then that's where my stepdad had come in, and that's when, so that's really and then at some points throughout my life, I also lived with my grandparents. When I was really young, I lived with my grandparents, and then we lived with my mom, and then we lived with eventually my stepdad in about middle school.
Gotcha. So you went through this stage of partying, didn't feel right. You knew it wasn't right. You decided to pack up and head on down for treatment all of a sudden, right? When was that breaking point for you that you were like, I need to get help? This is turning into something more dangerous than what I thought. Yeah,
it was pretty much after I lost that second job. I was like, dang, what am I doing with my life? I have a whole degree, not pursuing it, not using it. And just was like, okay, I need to, I honestly, at that point, didn't want anything to do with drinking. Like after that, I never had a drink after that moment. Like even it, like within, you know, I could have, had a drink before I left for rehab. I said, no, I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. And I just stopped. And honestly, I didn't have an obsession to drink. It was because of God. It was because of the Lord. He delivered me, like full-heartedly.
Wow. So in the process of all that, God's moving. God's doing a work in your heart.
Yes.
He's orchestrating this in you. Yeah. Sounds like this internal kind of struggle going on, right? Mm-hmm. And you came to a place of surrender?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I guess I would call it surrender. Yeah. Prior to. Mm-hmm.
What did your family think about all this?
Well, my mom was actually nervous. She was a little upset. Not upset that I was going to get help, but she didn't know what to think. I was moving in a completely different state. And so that frightened her a little bit. And my stepdad was pretty supportive. The rest of the family was pretty supportive. Yeah. Of that decision. But my mom was a little just nervous in general.
Now, did they think you had an issue, or was it like surprise for them?
No, I would say my family sort of, my mom, before she had said, hey, I think you might have something going on with drinking. And I was like, no, like maybe, but we sort of my whole family, just, that was a very cultural thing in our family, just to drink. Yeah. So I didn't think anything of it really, but until that day. And I'm like, okay, this is the thing that keeps me making even worse decisions. So I was like, okay, this needs to stop.
Yeah. It always starts that way, right? There's an old saying. It says that sin will take you further than you want to go, cost you more than you're willing to pay, and keep you a lot longer than you're willing to stay. And it sounds like, on your journey so far, you're realizing these things, these lessons God's teaching you, correct? He's teaching you something about you. What's he teaching you?
Yeah, just the resiliency. Yeah, and it's funny that the picture that you gave, just like travel the path less, hike the road and the path less traveled. Because I am the first person in my family who has chosen not to drink and to do that thing. And as a 22-year-old, how many 22-year-olds really go and travel that road? That's less traveled. So
that's a tender place for you right now. I know we don't have video, but I see it. I know our listeners can't see, but that's a very tender place for you right now. You feel like sharing where the Lord is working in that area right there?
Just sometimes I forget, I guess I am resilient, or I don't choose the easy thing,
Here's a tissue for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sometimes, sharing the heaviness of what God is doing in our lives, it's a reminder, and and I don't see it as you're looking at it as in a sadness. Am I right in that? It's more of a, wow. Tell me, what is it? It's more of a, what he brought me.
It's more of like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I am resilient. Sometimes I just don't see myself like that. So there is a resilience behind that.
Yeah. Give you a minute to compose.
This is normal. You should ask my husband.
Her husband is actually sitting in the room with us. He's just choosing to be quiet. I think I know who's the talker in the family. Yeah. Ian is also here in the studio. Ian, it's great to have you here as well.
Great to be here.
Yeah. Ian, you've walked with your wife through some of this in the story. We'll pull you in a moment. I think the Lord has some things for you to share in that. But Lexi, you went through this, I need to break the cycle is what I see. Is that right?
Yeah. On the way over here, the Lord is reminding me of this, the phrase is, I was made for more. Before I got help, I remember going to my uncle's house and just being like, I'm such a screw up. What am I doing with my life? And like just complaining, just living in my complaint about me, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kept remember thinking, like, you know, I was made for more than this. I was after me and Ian got married, 2 weeks later, I was in Africa helping lead camping trips over there with a friend of mine. And I was on the back of one of the motorcycles we were taking. That's when the Lord had reminded me, he's like, you were made for more. Like this was your more. This is your more. God reminded me of that. And so anyone who's listening, who's struggling, I mean, that's the same message that it's for you. Like, you're made for more. You're made for more than your sin and the cycles and your complaints about yourself. You're like made for more than that.
So you leave that home, you leave security, you step out on faith, you come down here to get some healing around what's going on. The symptom is the drinking. What was God doing in the heart when you got down here? What was God working on?
I feel like it was a whole heart transplant, honestly. I mean, a lot. There's, I didn't see it as like, oh, I'm going for healing. I didn't see it as, oh, I'm going, like, I just saw it as my next step. That's literally all I thought about. Okay, I knew this is what the next thing to do. So I did it. I went, when I was in rehab, that's when I got saved, and I was with the counselor and all of that good stuff. And there was just so much that God was revealing of what I thought was true. He was revealing the things that I believed. And I know we had talked about this, but like, that's really also where God's word came alive for me and I actually understood it. Like, it wasn't just a book. It had meaning. And it meant something for my life. Like, I could actually relate to it. Like, oh, like, I get it now. Like, I get the sin thing. I get it. Like,
so the light bulb came on. Like,
oh, yeah.
And it was, you had a little dim light going on. So you had someone in your family, like you said, your grandparents who were sharing truth with you, the scriptures, but it wasn't your truth at that time. It was, okay, that's looked good, but it wasn't yours at that time. How did that occur? When did that happen? Exactly. When did that moment happen that you met Jesus?
Well, they had like classes in rehab, and there was a woman there sharing her testimony, which was similar to mine in some capacity. I was like, oh, she's not perfect. Like, cool. That's awesome. But I looked up to her and I could, God loves her. I'm like, oh, okay. So she was sharing her story. And at the end, we were all praying, and she was like, I was glued to her. Like, I couldn't leave, like, my eyes did not leave her. And it was just the Holy Spirit drawing me in, really. And then we prayed. And afterwards, it was like everything just like was light and bright. And I was like, what is going on? This is very strange. I felt like I could run a marathon.
What was the shift? Explain it. What was the shift? Because from an outsider looking in, we're going, okay, everything's bright. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean to someone listening right now? They're like, okay, Lexi, help me out. You know, what does that mean? Like
the lights were lighter. I don't know. Like, you would look to me, I'd look at this light and it was glowing 10 times lighter. That's literally what I mean by that.
Wow. That's incredible.
I know that sounds crazy, but like, honestly, that's my story. So I'm sharing it.
So you go into this, you're going in through this painful experience, and you meet the Lord in prayer.
Yeah. And through relationship, Pastor Rob was there.
Wow.
He is a huge part of my salvation. And I got baptized in treatment, and I then now go to my church, and I just knew I had to keep going back. So that was my next step. Just keep going back. And that's what I did. I didn't have a car at the time, so I just bought an Uber to go to church every Sunday, and then just kept going.
Now, how old were you during this whole experience right now?
Probably 22.
About 22 years old?
23, maybe.
And currently you're
I'm 30.
You're 30. This is 8 years ago only. It's only 8 years ago. You know, what I really love, and I don't know who said this, and maybe you guys know, but it's not the beginning and the end. It's the dash in the middle when we pass away. It's those dashes that we look at the tombstones, right? And I go to the cemetery because I visit my brother-in-law's there, and he's not there, but we go in honor, you know, in the fact that he's with Jesus. But I see this tombstones and I see the dash. That's the story. And your dash is just started.
Yeah.
30 years old, 8 years ago, you were dealing with this addiction. You were, in essence, can I say it, medicating some type of pain in your life. Is that true?
I would say so.
What do you feel like you were medicating?
I think there's more than one thing. I would say pain, but like specifically abandonment and rejection are rejection are pretty big ones. Just abuse. There's like physical abuse at some points and sexual abuse within my story. So I think it started from those things, and living a life of sin just creates more sin. So more pain.
It's a deep place of pain. And we all appreciate you being transparent and sharing that. There are most likely listeners who can say, I've been there. I've had that happen. And for you to have the courage to share that is amazing. It really is. And God uses that pain because the next phase of this gets better. God is taking you through this, and he's still working through all this in your life, obviously, but it's a never-ending journey, right? But there's something occurring. There's a change happening. There's a calling coming over you, and a giftedness too, by the way, the hope side now.
I guess one thing that I can start with is just meeting my husband. Yeah, he's a blessing. And then just like thinking about our family and like what we're going to write with our family is great. We stand for love, hope, and transformation, and just being able to create spaces like that for others. And that can look and come about in multiple ways. The mechanism can change, but that's our intention in life is for love, hope, and transformation to take place. And as far as with the things that I'm doing, within coaching, fitness and nutrition coaching, leadership coaching, there's a lot of transformation that takes place. As far as with hiking goes, I really see it as a way for people to separate themselves unto their distractions and being in community and drawing nearer to the Lord and That's having good. Adventures, because living with God is the purest fun that you can ever have. I used to make fun of Christians. I used to make fun of Christian music and laugh at it and be like, this is stupid. And now I would I'd be like, okay, like that person just doesn't get it, and that's okay. But this is the most fun that's like actually fun, that doesn't like leave you regretting anything in the end. Yeah. God is good like that. That's why let's go adventure.
Tell me about some fun. What's some fun things you've had with God?
Moving down to Florida has been, it's been like confronting and healing, and I've cried a lot, it's all good. Yeah. But it's been the best thing like ever. I love it. I love living down. I remember being so joyful just riding my bike to work in the morning because like I loved my life. God, like I just knew God. I don't know. Just so I'm with God. Yeah. And then marrying my husband has been amazing, and actually finding like someone who's so faithful and loyal and serves God and is trustworthy. Like I trust him so much. I see a smile occurring on Ian's face over here. It's just this little beep, beep, beep. It's getting bigger and bigger when you keep puffing. I love it. He's like, yeah, can I get, what's that? More. I've gone to Africa, which is great. I've gone to Thailand. I've gone to Mexico. And that's just within these past 2 years. I mean, gone to so many really cool places. I've met so many amazing people. The adventure, the grand adventures are just beginning, because I remember praying to God and saying, I don't want to just be a normal Christian. I don't want to just go to Sundays and do that. I want to live your word. I want to see people healed. I want to see people restored. I want to see people like the blind see, I want to see those things. And when you pray those prayers, he doesn't skip out on those things. So
tell me about those prayers. Tell me about something that, yeah, I know.
What do you want to know about it?
Well, I mean, let's just say, where have you seen the miracles in the prayer? Tell me one of those stories, because I think there's been quite a few experiences. You're a very experiential person from what I've understood so far. And so God loves to give you experiences. It's no wonder to me that you go and do hiking, because it's an experience every time you're hitting the trail. Am I right?
Yeah.
And there's paths and choices and things to look at. So where in your life has some of those prayers been answered and miracles have occurred?
This might seem simple, but this is a simple one where it was a simple prayer. God, I want tea. I just want a cup of tea. And instead of getting 1 cup of tea I went to work that day, and they're like, yeah, we have a whole Keurig teacups in the back. Like, go ahead and pick one. And there was like 2 boxes of black tea. So I did not only get 1 cup, but I gave me like 40 cups of black tea. He's like, here you go, daughter.
Wow.
And then other times, I mean, there's been times more where I feel like the Lord's given me a word for someone. I want you to go tell this man. I was walking downtown and he said, hey, I want you to go and tell this man that I love him. And at first I like slowed down. I'm like, is this from you, Lord? I wasn't sure. And he said, go around and tell him that I love him and that. And so I did. And I went back in, and he also told me this man was a widow. And so I went back in. Hey, like, God loves you. Just want you to know you're never alone. And that struck up a 20-minute conversation. Within that conversation, he lost his wife about 10 years ago. He's a widow. And so it's more of like, I feel like the Lord gives me words of knowledge to allow people to know that God sees them. Like, God knows you. He knows you. He sees you. And
wow. That's incredible. People get the bad impression of that, what you just said sometimes, because of the way that pastors who have fallen, who are like, I have a word from God, and then they see that as, okay, what do you want from me? It's more of an extortion than it is an exaltation.
Yes.
Did you struggle with that in your giftedness? I'm going to transition to your giftedness. Did you struggle with that, saying, is this really of you, Lord? Or is this just me wanting to encourage somebody? And how clear, like, is this a hearing? Is this a knowing? Is it just intuition? Like, what is it when this giftedness occurs in you to share?
Sometimes it's just like I sense, okay, like I need to listen to God. Like he gets my attention. Just feel like, okay, wait, I need to he's trying to tell me something right now. I sort of, hey God, like, what would you like me to listen? Like, what do you want to say? And he'll highlight someone sometimes, and I'll just go over and I'll share. He'll tell me just what to say. Like, and I just say it. But I don't ever say like, this is what God is saying. This is what I believe God is saying. This is what I think he's saying. This is what and I never tell them what it means. Like, I say, hey, like, go and pray. I want you to go to the Lord and pray about this. I want you to talk about this with him, and what that means for you. So we have so that's sort of, that's how I go about it.
So Lexi, a lot of things happening. God is using you. He's using you in your giftedness. He's calling you into a missionary position. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I had the sense that the Lord was calling me in. I was a part of a Running Waters 5K, and the name of it was Running Waters 5K, and it was for a missionary, raising funds for a missionary. And the Lord just kept saying, missions. I was like, what does this mean? Like, why do you keep telling me all of this? I don't even know what missions is until I did some research, and I'm like, oh, okay, like going and sharing the gospel to like all nations. That's really what being a missionary is about. But at that point, me and Ian decided to go on a hike, and we went with Ends of the Earth hike, or Ends of the Earth Adventures, Ends of the Earth hiking. And Dave Worley pretty much turns and says, hey, like, I want you to be, like, have you thought about joining Ends hiking? I was like, not really, not up until now, but God had been planting the seed of being in mission work. Mission work.
Yeah.
Was talking with Ian, okay, hey, like, what do you think I should do? We kept praying about it, and God confirmed in so many ways.
So Ian, tell me about that. I'm going to jump over to you, bro. Tell me about that confirming thing, and from your perspective, what happened?
Yeah, so I mean, just being on the hike with Lexi and just experiencing the adventure and hearing the invitation from Dave, I'm like, okay, so Dave actually asked, but just in our time, like once we got back home and just in conversation and in prayer, and I just felt at peace. Like, we weren't married yet. We weren't even engaged yet. So that was like a lot of the conversation of like, okay, like what would this look like for us as our relationship progresses? Like, I think she's kind of like testing me a little bit. Like, are you like okay with this kind of thing? Do you want a missions wife? And just through all the conversation, but more so just like prayer and time with God, I'm like, yeah, like if I believe you hear from God, I hear from God. We're both hearing the same thing. And it's like something my mentor says is like, God pays for what he orders. So it's like,
wow,
if this is what he's calling you into, like there's going to be provision in it. Like there's going to be abundance within it. Like not just financial, but just like this is going to work. Like it's going to happen. And he's going to orchestrate all the things that need to take place for it to happen. Yeah, I just felt really at peace with it, and also like excited and some uncertainty, of course, of like, all right, like what's this going to look like? But it's like, hey, like let's just lean in and trust God and see how it goes.
I love that you said lean in. That's kind of a theme that I keep hearing from many of our guests who come onto this podcast. They're like, I leaned in, I moved toward. There's a lot of that going towards God in the moment and seeing it for what it is. My listeners don't know. I don't know. Tell me a little bit, if you don't mind, about your upbringing. Were you born in a Christian home? Tell me a little bit about where you were born.
Yeah. So I wasn't similar to Lexi. I wasn't born in a Christian home. Like we would go to church on the holidays and the days you were supposed to go, like Mother's Day and like Easter and Christmas and that sort of thing. So didn't grow up knowing God, knowing Jesus. It was later in life, I think around 2018, so about 9 years ago. So just for me, like young man, I was coaching and personal training, and just a lot of my own identity was wrapped up in my work. It was wrapped up in my fitness. It was wrapped up in the relationship I was in at the time, and relationship ended. And just that was one thing. Like I'm still coaching and still in decent shape, but I recognized at that point, I'm like, like that like really shook me. And I'm like, like, okay, like when you put your identity like in the world and in other people, like those things aren't solid. Like they can waver, they can change, they can shift. And yeah, just at one point, I just felt like a nudge of like, go to church. And like that, like for me, so like when I was in this relationship, it was always like me and that person, like all the time. Like I didn't really have like other friends I hung out with. I didn't do things by myself because that's weird. You don't do that. So for me to like go to church by myself, I'm like, okay, I know that's not me. This isn't my idea. So I just went, and I don't recall having like this big come to Jesus moment. Like for me, it was like a very like progressive, like again, just I was consistent. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna.
So you mean more like how the disciples came to Christ in a sense? They were under Christ's teachings, and yet a lot of them didn't even really believe until later, right? We see that in the writings.
Yeah.
Peter denies him.
Yeah.
And Peter even Jesus even comes back from the grave and says, do you love me? And Peter displays phileo love, which is the Greek word for more of a brotherly love. But what Christ was looking for was that deep agape love. So here you are being discipled into relationship, right, Ian? When did it click?
I don't remember a specific moment where it wasn't like this big, like, I'm totally in love with Jesus, like in this specific moment. It was just like, it just continued to grow. And I think about it, like my relationship with Lexi. I liked her when I saw her.
Well, yeah. Okay, go on.
I liked her when I saw her, but I wasn't in love with her.
Yeah.
That took time. That took like getting to know each other and spending time together and really growing and learning her character and her way of being.
That's good.
And I think it's similar, like for me, like my relationship with Jesus, it's like, okay, I like him. The idea sounds cool. And like, I want to pursue that. Like, I want to continue to grow in this relationship. So yeah, I'd say that's how me and Jesus.
I know it's hard. You get Jason and Jesus confused. I know the same amount of letters in it, but I am Jason. Okay. He is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not editing this. This is staying in. Okay.
Good. Keep it. Keep it. But yeah, I would say that's how me and Jesus have really come together. And I think even in this season, it's funny, like for me, like at times as I grow closer with God and become more and more aware of my own sin and shortcomings, that can also be like I'm getting closer, but also I'm like, man, I just realized like how far I am by the same token. Yeah. It's like an interesting polarity at times of like, like I'm going to continue to pursue and devote my life to growing in this way and growing and going in this way. And like, dang, goof up a lot. and thank God that he just continues to love and forgive through that.
It's a lot of grace. It's a lot of grace in what you're saying. Your story is amazing as it is. All of our stories have amazing details to it. I want to go back to when you met Lexi. I see the dynamic here. I see where God has positioned both of you in the relationship. I'm just telling you, I'm older gentleman, 52 years old, been married for almost 27 years. I see the positioning here, and it's beautiful what God is doing with both of you together in harmony in the calling. When you're on that hiking trail, and, you're hearing Dave, thank you, Dave, was talking to you guys about it. What went through your mind at that moment when he was asking about you guys should get involved?
I'm a processor, if you can't tell. So I think similar, like I'm noticing a pattern of like, okay, like how I pursued Jesus and pursued Lexi. Like even in that decision, I'm like, sounds like a cool idea. I'm not in love with it, but I like it. So you know what? Like let's pursue it. Let's start to like just test it and see like, hey, like is this God's will? Is this direction that he's calling Lexi and where he's wanting her to step into? And yeah, I think I don't think it took very long. And
you said, I don't love what they're doing, but I can like it. I can start here. That's amazing, bro. And the processing of that, getting to the place where you're processing through all this, that's even beautiful in itself. Because that's how God wired you, right? He's wired you to be able to share that and share in the ministry where maybe Lexi, I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. You might pop and go, and he might go, wait, hold on, step back for a second. Let's look at this from this perspective and let's pray on this. Let's hold it. Is that about right?
I would say so. So I'm not like directly a part of the ministry. Like I don't support husband. And I get to obviously be around a lot of the behind the scenes and conversations and supporting her and standing with her as she's making some of those bigger decisions and designing these adventures and these experiences for people to be a part of.
There's a lesson for that in men. In marriage, right? It's a big lesson in the culture that we live in. standing and supporting our wives, and vice versa, right, Lex? Standing and supporting our husbands, right? You would say. You're on that trail. Dave is inviting Lex. He's liking it. He's definitely liking you. What happens in your life, in your heart right there? What happens?
I was like, oh, okay, like, he's about it. Like, he would support me in this. Like, maybe this is it. This is where God's leading me. And then we just kept praying into it. And there was this one of the days where I was just praying. I was on my walk and my car was being fixed. I was walking down the road and just like, God, do you want me to go to ends? And I look over and a car is passing by and it says, take the risk. And I've never seen this car, ever. Never seen this car. I haven't seen it since. It was like a neon colored car. It just says, take the risk.
Let me pause you for a second there. You came through quite a bit in your past.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma from what you've discussed with me off this to a place where you meet this guy.
Yeah.
Was there any, let's just be honest, was there nervousness in the relationship for you when you met? Like, was there a little bit like, whoa, can you go into that? Because I know there's a lot of ladies listening who can probably relate to that right there, where they went through a lot there and now they saw somebody who looked like, and be honest, Ian, looks like you got it together, but I know you're probably a mess too. He's laughing, but we're all a mess, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're all a mess, right?
All a mess.
Yes.
Yeah. See, now it takes a big man to admit that, it's hard for men to say we're a mess, but the truth is we're a lovely mess. And that's the part of the experience. That's the walk. That's the journey. That's the hike, the fork in the roads, the path that's less traveled, the deep weeds we get into, the briar patches of life that you've been through. You see the sign, take the risk.
Yeah.
And then?
Take the risk, I felt, is more of God's confirmation of, this is what I have for you. Walk in it. Walk in it. Go. And I did. And I'm still doing it. Right. And I'm thankful for that. As far as with my relationship with my husband, I prayed to the Lord that I would have a husband, and I didn't want to have to tell him what to do. Like, I'm not going to tell him to not drink. I'm not going to tell him to not do certain things that were non-negotiables for me, because I'm not your mom. And it's not my job. I want those things. I want my husband to want those things for himself. Well, the Lord provided me Ian, who's never drank a day in his life, willingly. Like, he does not want to. And so there was, right off the gate, that was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like brought a lot of peace for me. And then just watching him, I would just watched him. Like, I did it the Lord's way. Like, I took time being completely transparent. There was no sex before marriage. There was, at first, friends around us when we were dating. There was no real one-on-one. And then there was eventually one-on-one dating and stuff like that. I'll let Ian tell the story of how he asked me out. But
we got a second now. Hold on a second. We got a little story in between the miracle here. Like, Ian, tell me a little story there.
Yeah, the side story. So we had been friends for we met in like 2020. I didn't start pursuing Lexi until maybe like end of 22, maybe, and invited her on some friendly hangouts and that sort of thing. And at one point I'm like, okay, like, just need to like define like what this is. Like, I'm just trying to be friends. So I don't know where I got it from, like the dollar store or something, but you know those little Pez dispensers?
Yeah.
So there's a Pez dispenser. You know the Aquaman character from the movie?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So he kind of looks like Jesus.
Oh, boy.
So I got this Pez dispenser, and we're sitting in her car, and I was like, hey, I want to have an intentional dating relationship with seeing if marriage would be a good idea. It's very straightforward. That was big risk for me. That was not how I did. Kind
of like a sign somebody had seen about taking a risk for ministry.
Yes.
And now you're seeing a sign in your heart, take a risk for relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And just being, I think up until that point, like when it came to like dating and relationships, it was for me kind of beat around the bush, like don't be super direct. And I'm like, that's exhausting. I'm tired of that. So let me just be real, be straight up with her. And if she accepts this invitation, then only God can do it. And then I gave her the Pez dispenser that looks like Jesus, and that I was like, all right, now I know we're golden.
And Lex, what was your reaction to that?
I remember the moment he looked over, he's like, "You want to be in?" I loved it. I thought it was so cheesy and amazing. And I loved that it was Jesus, because I love Jesus. And I actually brought the Pez dispenser on our wedding day too, for our vows and everything like that. So it's a fun story. I love it.
So there's a lot of coming out of trauma. There's a lot of dealing with medicating your pain. There's a lot of, I meet with Jesus, a lot of those moments, to getting invited to go hiking and also meeting your boyfriend at the time, to marriage, to where you are today. There's an impact in all that. There's a lot of impact around your life. You're working with what group where God's called you vocationally currently today. Out of all that, there's a setup. He's good at this. Lex, what's the setup? Where are you at?
So we host multi-day Christ-centered hikes to raise funds for global youth, because the Lord's up to so much in the world. There's so much goodness that he's up to. And I think it's so easy to get sidetracked with the drama, sidetracked with the dark, and like God's doing so much good in the world. And we just get to showcase that through these adventures. And we get to showcase God, like God showcases himself just through walking through his creation, and like just the honor to be able to do that with him. I've been contemplating on who am I, and like who was I when I was a little girl, because there's something authentic about that. And I remember just like loving to be out in nature and just walk around and just like, it seems like do nothing, but it was so much back then. So during going into mission work, like I was like, God, look, if I want to go into mission work, I still love to coach. So can you please like make that happen? And literally, no joke, I was like, if you do that, I know that we're moving in the right direction. Like I know this isn't me. This isn't me trying to do something Lexi wants to do. A friend reached out and says, hey, I have a girl, she's going to message you about assistant coaching for her business. Get on the call with her. It's for a Christian-owned fitness and nutrition company, and I'm able to work remotely, right, and coach all at the same time. And they had no issue with me being in the mission field. So it was just like amazing. And I feel like the Lord, actually, one of our colleagues, Michael Warren, he's like, I feel as if like you're called to coach, counsel, and you're up to renewal. And so if I were to sum it up, really, that is a big part of everything that I do, even in as the hiking director. And it's so cool because God's like, you take this risk because you're going to help other young people take that same risk. And I see it coming to pass. I thought this was going to be something that came to pass like 10 years in ministry. I've been with the ministry now for about 2-3 years. And I just have, just today, Nate Worley is now a part of Ends Hiking, and he's a part of our team, and he's younger than I am. So God's up to something. I think we're building this arc for young people to encounter the Lord in a way that is authentic and real and organic. And I'm really excited about it.
A lot like you.
Yeah.
Real, authentic. And you've been through it. You're on the other side. You're married.
Amen.
You got blessings going on.
Yeah.
Great things going on. And you're able to share now your story with the youth that you work with and the ladies that you rub shoulders, next to, and those on the street that God gives you an encouraging word to give.
Yeah.
How beautiful a story it is, Lexi. Ian, thank you for coming today and sharing your story as well. What a wonderful story of a man of consistency, process, one who holds the hand of God and encourages his wife through it. Does that about sum it up, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, both of you, for being on the Three Doves podcast. God bless you guys.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Three Doves podcast. That was Lexi and Ian Loofboro. What an amazing testimony both of them have, and how God maneuvered each of them into a relationship with Christ and each other. If you like what you heard today, we'd ask you to keep following us on Spotify and share as much as you can to your friends. We thank you so much for listening, and God bless.